Okay, over here on the left-hand side is the part that we're going to create. It's going to be composed of 3 features. This back block, which has rough dimensions of 4 high, 4 wide, and 2 deep, with these 100 by 100 chamfers. Then we have this cylinder that is a diameter of 3, and we're going to say the inside diameter of the cutout hole is going to be about a diameter of 2. And then there's this third feature, which starts at the back block and becomes tangent to the cylinder, and we're going to try to show how we make that tangent with the constraints. So the first thing we're going to do is create this back block, and we're also going to notice that it has a symmetry line here, so we're going to allow one plane to maintain that symmetry for us. So we're going to come over here, and I'm going to sketch on the right plane. And again, the right plane, the sketch plane, becomes orange, the default reference plane becomes red, and we'll accept both of those. Now what I want to do is I'm going to draw my rectangle here, and just using the default of ProEase dimensions, I'm going to let everything multiply by 100. So I'm going to make this value here 400, and I'm going to make this value here 400, and I'll let this value here be 200. So again, we have a square, a 400 by 400 square, that is 200 from the center line. So once I've done that, I can say that I'm done with the sketch. I'll rotate a little bit, and I'm going to come down here to the extrude button, and I'm going to come up here to the dashboard and extrude it out 200 units, hitting the enter key and then hitting the check mark. So this creates my part. Now the next feature on this is these 2 edges are going to be chamfered, and if I go back to the drawing, we see that there's 100 by 100 or 1 by 1 units. So I'm going to come over here, and we'll do this as a solid feature. We'll come over here to the chamfer tool, and I'm going to do a D by D. In other words, it's going to be the same distance in this direction as this direction, or a 45-degree reference. My diameter, or the distance, is going to be 100, and I'm going to select this edge. Notice again that I'm not selecting a face, I'm selecting just an edge, and then I'm going to hold the control key down to select the second edge. So this entire chamfer, both edges, will be one feature. And once I've done that, I'm going to say done. And what we have over here now is, here's the extrude, our first feature. I'm over here in the model tree, and I click on the chamfer, and that's our second feature. So now I am going to again look at our part, and I'm going to leave this feature that connects the 2 pieces together, and I'm going to concentrate on making my cylinder here. Now this cylinder, with some sort of design intent, I don't want to start drawing it on this plane. That's why I wanted to put the center of symmetry in there, because if I want to at some point, I can always change the length of this cylinder to be greater than or less than this width of the anchoring block. So let me come through and through that, and now again it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 from the back wall, or 1, 2 from the front wall, and it's going to have a diameter of 3, and we're going to be up again 1.5. So let me come back to my drawing. I'm going to select this middle, the center symmetry plane to be my sketch plane, and here's my default reference plane. I'll accept both of those. Now I'm going to let, sometimes it rotates it into a particular fashion. I could show you how to do that, to change the orientation, but for right now we'll just accept it. Here's my circle. Now notice I'm trying, I don't want to get this, let me show you this T over here. If I let that snap, that would be a mistake, because that would be a tangent, and I don't necessarily want to make this circle tangent to this bottom reference line. So I'm just going to click over here, I'll say done. Now my diameter here has to be 300, we said. It has to be a distance of 200 from the front edge, and a distance right now of 150 upwards. So now that I've created that, let me rotate myself to see where we are. And I can say that I'm done with the sketch. And now we're going to extrude. But in this case, I want to extrude. I'm back up here on the dashboard on the upper left-hand side. I want to extrude to either side of the sketch plane. And in this case, I want to extrude a distance of 200, total of 400 rather. So put in 400 and enter. And I'll come over here and I'll accept. And then I'll say, well, I could have, at the same time, I forgot to put in my center circle. So what I want to do is I could make it as another feature here, but let's take this example to go back to modifying the sketch. So over here on the model tree, I'll click the plus mark next to that extrude to. I'll select the sketch, right click, and go to edit definition. And what I need to do is come in here, grab the circle tool again, let it snap to the center, create a new circle, and go back, click on the arrow button to bring me back to my dimensions, and I can change this to be 200. And now when I update or accept that I'm done with the sketch, it is going to not only accept the sketch, but it is going to rebuild the extrude that goes here underneath the chamfer. So I hit check mark and it rebuilds that extrude button. Alright, so here's my two pieces of this part. Now the last feature is the one that needs to connect the two of them. Well, what I'm going to do is I want to show this in a wireframe view or hidden line view, and I want to get rid of a couple things that are going to make it a little bit harder to see. I'm going to come over here to the model tree, right click on the default coordinate system, and I'm going to hide it, and I'm also going to hide the front plane because I'm not going to want to accidentally, and I'm going to also hide the front plane, the right plane rather. I'm hiding them because I don't want to see that geometry when I'm going to try to make the set of constraints that I want to do next. Alright, so looking back at the picture, we have a 200 or 2 units by what we can assume is 1, 2, 3 units. We'll assume that it's tangent at both the top and the bottom, and it's centered. So we're going to draw a 200 by 300 rectangle onto this upper surface, onto the front surface. So I'm going to select this plane, and it wants to select this one as my bottom reference. We can do that. And now let me go in and draw a rectangle. Now I'm purposely drawing it a little bit shy of everything that we're part of over here because I want to see where it is that we're being connected to. So now what I want to do is I want to make this top edge coincident or with the top edge of this cylinder, and likewise on the bottom. I don't want this edge to be coincident with this edge, but rather with the edge of the cylinder. Now how do I do that? Well, let me go back and let's view it from the front side, not the front side, rather the right side. And what I can do is as I rotate this, you'll see where the cylinder is. So what side was I looking at before? Let me go to the left side. I think that's, where's the cylinder now? There we are. Okay, so let me again view from the left side. Now I do want to rotate this. I'm actually going to come over here to the reorient, and I'm going to do a dynamic orient, and I want to spin around the spin axis by the x-axis, and I want to rotate it by a distance of 90 degrees. Let me see if I'm going the right way. There we go. So let me go negative 90 degrees. Okay, and I'll say okay. So let me recenter it. So now if I go to my down here on the right hand side, my constraints, I want to grab the coincident constraint, and this over here, I'm going to read it. It says surface of extrude 2. Well, extrude 2 is my cylinder. So this is the edge that I want to select. So I'm going to select this one, and then my edge of the rectangle that I'm going to do. Now I'm still in the command, so again I'm going to grab this one, the line that forms that square, and now I want to make sure that I grab the right one. I don't want the reference line, right? I want to come in here, and I don't want this surface of the extrude 2. I'm grabbing the wrong line. What I want to do is I want to make sure that I grab this line over here. So now you see. Now it's kind of funny that it knows that this line, no matter which way I orient it, is parallel, or the tangent line, to this edge. It's kind of smart with that regards with Pro E. So once I've done that, now let me make, I'll say I'm going to cancel out. I'm no longer putting constraints on. I'll come back in here, make this 200, and I'll make this distance 100. Alright, so now I've made my sketch, and I'll say that I'm done. Now I'll go back to the solid view, because now what I want to do is I want to extrude this, but I have an issue here. I want to extrude this such that it becomes tangent to these surfaces, so I can't just do a normal extrude. Well, I'm going to click extrude right now, and I can't just do this type of extrusion, because I have two problems. One, I don't know where to stop it, and two, it's going to fill up the center piece here. So what I want to do is I want to come over here to the dashboard, click on it, and I want to select this one down here on the bottom, extrude to a selected point curve planar surface. So I'm going to select that, and this is highlighted in orange. This is my sketch, and I come over here and I select this surface, and now it only goes this far in preview, but when I come ahead and I click my check mark, now my part is tangent to both pieces. Now, just to verify that I've gotten my design intent, let me go ahead and come into my sketch for extrude 2. I'm going to edit the definition of that. And what would happen if I had changed this to 200, and I changed this dimension to 100, and this dimension to 150. And now I say update. You can see that my design intent, having this feature always tangent to the curve or the cylinder, is maintained, and that is why I use those coincident constraints. Alrighty, so that's going to conclude this part that utilized the constraints for setting surfaces to each other, and also the extrude to the next surface commands.